We are almost halfway through 2025, and I want to give a quick update of what we're seeing in the Florida housing market to date here on the Florida Gulf Coast. As there's plenty of videos and news articles out there about how horrible the market is, I wanted to give some real-time insights to our current market. As you've heard often, real estate is hyper-local. So what is happening here in Florida or on the Southwest Florida or even right here in Sarasota and Manatee counties in the surrounding suburbs does not mean that it's happening elsewhere in the nation or even elsewhere here in Florida. With that said, Florida seems to always lead the way in major changes. And our changes have been underway for the last 18 months or even 2 years. So what we're experiencing is the rise of inventory. To be more specific, housing inventory continues to climb and the number of sellers are far outweighing the number of buyers. And to put this in very simple and uncomplicated terms, this is saying that our affordability is way out of whack. When we have so many homes on the market and fewer buyers, that just means that yes, we are out of whack when it comes to affordability. With the rising cost of homes over the last 5 years and with 7% interest rates and the insurance cost, it costs so much more to own a home today than it did 5 years ago. Prior to the pandemic, the average American was paying less than $2,000 a month in their home mortgage payment. Today, that number is almost $3,000 a month. So that's a 30% increase in less than 5 years. So that is just showing us how unaffordable housing has gotten. And that is exactly why people are sitting on the sidelines and are a little bit more trepidatious to dive in unless the timing is right, unless the perfect home shows up, unless they're feeling like they're getting a good value. But for the sake of my viewers here in Sarasota, Manatee County, I want to really dive into these numbers and I want to dive into what is happening here. And I'm going to divide this up between Sarasota and Manatee County so you can see the difference between the two and be well informed. But first, if we've not met yet, I'm Lisa McBride with Sarasota Neighborhood Experts, and my team and I love helping so many of you buy, sell, and invest. And sellers during this very turbulent time with more inventory on the market, you need to be very savvy when putting your home on the market. If you have questions about the current market, give me a call today. Let me know how I can help. All right, let's dive into these numbers. So let's take a look at what May 2025 looked like in Sarasota. Now, I'm going to be comparing some of these numbers with 2019, the pre-pandemic numbers, as well as last year. Let's start with our inventory because, as we know, this is the key factor to watch and it's going to help us predict prices in the future. Currently, we have a lot of inventory, so much so that we currently have 7 months of inventory on the market. And in real estate terms, typically a balanced market is anywhere between 3 and 6 months. So you can see with 7 months, we're definitely skewing to a buyer's market. If the inventory was less than 3 months inventory, it is a very strong seller's market. So at 7 months inventory, we're definitely into a buyer's market. So currently in Sarasota County, we have 7,288 residential listings. That number is up 28% from 2019 and a 20% increase from last year. Now, the good news in all of this is inventory is starting to recede just a little bit. And this is typical for this time of year. Our high season is over. In our area, we should peak with listings somewhere between February and March and then start to see a decline. And that is exactly what has happened in 2025. Now, this is a very small step in the right direction, but it is a step in the right direction because inventory has been increasing naturally over the last 4 years. And so finally to see a little bit of a decrease is a good sign. Now, the next number I want to talk about is the number of sales in May. Now, typically May is pretty good for the amount of homes closed, and this May is no different. There was 1,116 homes that closed in May. Now, that is down 22% compared to 2019 and 10% less than last year. So with those numbers, let's look at what the average sale price is. The average home sold in May of 2025 in Sarasota County was $564,915. Now, that is still 32% higher than in 2019, but it is 14% less than last year. So yes, we're watching prices go down. And I have been predicting and talking about declining prices for the last 18 months. And I am going to continue to predict that we're still going to see another 5 to 8% decline in values before the end of the year. And I just want to share this statistic with you. You can see from this graph that in 2024, there were 6 different months that the average home price was over $700,000. And here we are in the $500,000 range, but also from that graph, you can see that the average sell price really changes month over month. And some months it's high, some months it's low. But the fact that we're finally back averaging in the $500,000 and $600,000 as average price is pointing in a very good direction for home buyers. Let's move on to Manatee County. The number of residential listings currently on the market in Manatee County is 5,415, which that is up 40% from 2019 and up 18% from last year. The number of homes that closed in May of 2025 was 1,020. Now, compared to 2019, where it was 1,027, and last year when it was 1,033. So that number is actually very, very small differences, which again, I think that's really important to know because home buyers are still out there purchasing. The fact that there's not a drastic change in Manatee County for the number of homes sold throughout the last 6 years is also very telling. Now, what's the average sale price of homes in Manatee County? Well, in May of this year, it was $545,268, which is up 36% from 2019, but down 12% from last year. Now, I want to share 2 key takeaways from this data and why I do feel prices are going to continue to drop a little bit. To start with, I want to point out the average sold price versus the average original list price right now in both Sarasota and Manatee County is sitting about 92%, which means buyers are negotiating and they are getting the price. So sellers, this is also saying that we're still pricing our homes too high for today's market and that we're seeing a lot of price drops. And sellers, in a balanced market, you should only be conceding about 3 or 4% off your list price. The fact that from the original price to the sell price is 8%, saying that buyers and sellers are not on the same page and there's a lot of negotiations going on. And the last thing that I want to address is if we look back historically over the average sell price, you're going to see here on these graphs that in 2017, 18, 19, the average sale price in both Sarasota and Manatee County were around $350,000, $360,000. And I think most of us would say, I would love to buy a house in Sarasota, Manatee County for $350,000 or even $400,000, and it would feel like it's a good deal. Well, keep that in mind moving forward because although prices are dropping, I don't think we're going to actually ever see that $350,000 as the average sale price. We don't have the economic conditions to drop the prices that far. And if we did, then there's a bigger crisis going on than just unaffordable housing. There's much more going on in the world. So although, yes, prices feel very unaffordable, I've had people throughout my career say to me, I wish I would have bought 5 years ago or 10 years ago. There's just no way to predict it, but everyone wishes they would have bought when prices were low. Well, prices are going down. This may be the low point for the next decade. You never know what the home prices are going to do. So if your life is in a situation where it's time to move, whether that's for relocation, to be close to family, marriage, divorce, job, whatever it may be the right time to dive into the market. I'm not trying to convince anyone that they should buy if it's not the right time, but waiting for the market to collapse, that never works for anyone because so far I haven't met anyone that has timed it perfectly. But if you'd like more information about the neighborhoods that are holding their value or homes that are a good value, because I am seeing homes that I think are overpriced and those that I think are really good values. So give me a call today. Let me know how I can help. If you have any questions at all, I'm here to be your real estate resource. As always, I really appreciate you watching, and until next time, take care.